the first couple weeks of session from the Senate Republican perspective. I'll start with the good news real quick. I thought the governor set a nice tone yesterday. You know, he's good at this. He's good at giving an overview from 20,000 feet and reminding us of what's important, being positive, being optimistic, and reaching out to the House and the Senate. So I also mentioned yesterday, I think we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him. You know, Republicans will certainly miss his leadership. And as I listened to some of my colleagues and read their remarks and responses to the governor's quotes, it actually makes me think the DFL legislative leadership will miss Governor Pawlenty, because he's defined what they are and what they focus on for the last 8 years. You know, what else are they going to be against with Tim Pawlenty not around here? It'll be real interesting to watch them over the next year. And I again want to say thank you to the governor and his wife and his family for their service. We got a lot of work to do over the next 3/4 of a year here, but it was his last day of the state, and it was kind of like watching Brett Favre leave the field. You know, a lot of mixed feelings there, and I do hope we see Tim Pawlenty continue in public service in some way. Back to the machinations of the legislature, I think it has felt, I know, it has felt to the Senate Republicans that we are back to business as usual in the Senate, and that's not a good thing. It feels a lot like we have started this session in the first couple weeks and the first major bills just as we ended the last session. The last session ended with us getting a tax bill, the tax bill, with about 20 minutes to spare at 11:40. And then, of course, the debate was cut off and the board was closed. So that's how it ended, pretty ugly and pretty loud last year. And this year we started with the two major pieces so far, the bonding bill, and then yesterday with the GAMC. And these bills are being done on the fly. They are being totally repackaged on the Senate floor without the ability for taxpayers and those impacted to read it, to learn about it, to testify on it, to react to it, and then, of course, most importantly, to tell us as members of the Senate how we should vote or how we could amend it. You know, our staff doesn't even get the language in time to prepare amendments. So that's discouraging, and I also think, I've tried to state this before, this kind of business as usual, you know, a chairman or chairwoman, you know, behind closed doors just coming up with the bill and then unveiling it. I don't think that's going to work in 21st century government at any level anymore. I think people are really reacting strongly to a federal government that has cooked up a few too many deals behind closed doors, and people are just mad. They're just mad at the process of it. So I know it's not unusual for the minority party to whine a little bit about the process, but I think it's important to remember what we're trying to stand for is transparency. That especially in times of crisis and recession and economic decline and deficits, government needs to be more open than ever. We need to know what's in these bills. Minnesotans need to know what's in these bills. I'm going to have, speaking for myself, but I'm sure I'll have a lot of support from my caucus, I'm going to have legislation that would require at least 24-hour bill posting online, so that not just members, not just staff, but that the entire state of Minnesota can see what we are about to vote on. I'll jump into the details a little bit more on that. You know, we had an hour-and-a-half hearing on the borrow and spend bill, on the bonding bill. An hour and a half was all we had in the Capital Investment Committee, and yet we're making a major leap in state policy to throw out the 3% debt spending guideline, which we've used for decades, back to Rudy Perpich. We took no testimony on that. We didn't hear from the state economist. We didn't hear from the Pawlenty administration. I'd like to hear what they're trying to change, why they think it should be changed. Senator Langseth at one point said we could have a $1.7 billion bonding bill. I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Yesterday with the GAMC bill, we had been working for at least the past week with runs, projections, what this means for hospitals, what this means for our district, what this means for doctors. And then after going to session at 8:30, there was an amendment drafted at 8:50 that totally threw out this surcharge mechanism. And, you know, I'm not on the healthcare committee, but that's why I need to hear even more. I need to hear from my constituents. Well, what do you think of this? Here's another way to do it. So you can be for or against the policy, but before we even get to the policy, it needs to be transparent. It needs to be open. And I just don't think the state Senate should be doing this business as usual anymore.